All right, guys, welcome back to In the Mind of Music with Nate and Isa right here exclusively on iporadio.com. Like I said before, we are joined by Monique and Mike from Alien Knife Fight on the phone. And I got to tell you guys, I love it. You guys have a home you call the Big Bottom Farm and a ride known as the Bell Ringer. You make music out of your own home studio in Creedmoor, Texas. And here you are now joining us in our home studio for our show. Thank you for joining us and welcome. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Yeah, we're great. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. So, you guys are just getting all your last minute details ready for tour, right?
Yeah, we're literally in the van cruising down the highway. Don't worry, I'm not driving. I'm the one holding the phone.
Oh, that's awesome.
And needless to say, we're good at multitasking.
Well,
so,
that's cool. That's cool. So, you guys are from Texas, like I said before, and you guys have been doing this for about 6 years. I know it kind of is a little bit cheesy to ask about how you come up with the name for the band, but I really got to ask, how do you guys come up with Alien Knife Fight? Can you give us a little bit of background on that? Who thought of that?
Yeah, the deal is that we both don't really like the task of having to come up with a band name, and we were just kind of throwing combinations of words around, jokingly, really. And Alien Knife Fight kind of just popped out of my mouth. I didn't really think about it. It just kind of came out, and Mike reacted in such a way that we knew it was a keeper.
As soon as she said the words, I said, that is it. We're done. That's the best name ever.
It actually, it turns out that it is appropriate because, it might be misleading for the kind of music that we do, but we're both really into sci-fi and paranormal stuff and like old sci-fi B movies and things of that nature. So like Alien Knife Fight is kind of, to me, kind of similar to a title like Amazon Women on the Moon,
Yeah.
No, it's definitely comes from left field, but it rolls nice. I like how it feels. It's not too long of a name, and it's very descriptive.
Oh, man, yeah, I'm just imagining a movie.
It naturally has a really good design element, too, because it's 3 words with the exact same number of letters. So it has a lot of great design elements, which we are now starting to really take advantage of.
Wow, that is really cool. That is really cool. So, speaking of the music that you make, you guys are influenced by a lot of bands that you list on Facebook. However, you don't really identify with a genre. You kind of basically leave it up to the listener to make it up as they listen. Is that kind of sort of to leave it open for interpretation and have the listener relate to it in their own, special way?
Yeah, because, you can't really... I don't think any artist can really look at themselves objectively. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always kind of amazed when I hear people describe us. More often than not, I'm surprised by how they describe us, or sometimes they'll compare us to bands that never in a million years would I think we sound at all like, which is cool. It means that they're hearing different elements. They're hearing us in a very different way.
Right.
I don't know anybody that listens to strictly one genre of music. Maybe when you're like a kid and you're just like starting to get into music, but I don't know anybody that just listens to metal or just listens to strictly EDM, or you know what I mean? So, our influences are very eclectic, and as a result, so is the sound.
Yeah, that's good. Right?
Well, I like it because it definitely has a more old-fashioned feel to it, as far as the quality's got warmth to it versus, like the cool digital quality that's coming out now that's like just like perfectly crisp, which is, to me, it kind of lacks emotion. So everything that we've seen and heard, it's just it's got that vibe of a soul coming out of the music. And I like that a lot because, like you said, you don't really have to make a genre out of it. It's just really good music.
Thank you. I mean, that's a really big compliment, especially considering the fact that a majority of our recording is digital, because we are too broke to afford studio time or afford tape, for the most part. So we do spend a lot of time writing and recording and honing our sound. And I've spent many years collaborating with members of the band Morphine, and I think to a large degree that experience has contributed a great deal to the warmth and the openness of the sound.
Yeah.
The kind of low rock influence,
Their recording technique is also a lot like ours. They would record everything they did, and when they hit on something that they liked, they would just go back and flesh it out. And that's what we do. We record everything. And when we naturally fall into a groove, we try and reproduce that groove, but we always go back to the original recording because that's where the magic is.
Yeah, we build on it. We'll keep the original tracks, and then if there are really bad plans or like some really floppy parts, I'll go back and retrack those, but we'll use the demo as basically the skeleton of the song and build on it. Occasionally, I do write a lot of songs from top to bottom, like writing complete songs, but since I started working with Mike, it's been a more organic approach, things kind of growing out of a jam.
So you guys are definitely taking care of a lot of my questions and all of what you just said. So that's pretty awesome. I'm getting to learn a lot, kind of developing questions as I go now. So being the fact that you guys have this eclectic sound and everything, and you definitely have a different instrument going on for you, Monique. I mean, it's something that I haven't seen before, and before Tom and Tracy actually mentioned it to me that you playing that bass, that specific bass that you play. Can you tell me a little bit about that for people who don't know what kind of bass you play?
Sure. So I play two kinds of basses in Alien Knife Fight. I have a variety of two-string slide basses, which is the bass that you're talking about right now. That is, very much a novelty to a lot of people. It's really not as much of a novelty to older people like ourselves who maybe listen to a lot of 90s music, because anybody who is familiar with the band Morphine knows about the two-string slide bass. But so much time has passed since the frontman, Mark Sandman, since he passed away in 1999. So a lot of people are really seeing that instrument for the first time through us. The other instrument that I play is a fretless bass, and that's actually my main instrument that I've been playing since I was a kid. But the two-string slide bass, I have a bunch of them set up in different tunings, and it's basically beat up old bass guitars with a couple of the strings removed. They're raised a lot higher off the neck, so I can play it with a slide. And I tune them usually in octaves, sometimes in fifths. And, it looks like a very simple instrument, but it took me quite a few years to get a handle on it, because it really requires a certain sort of feel and approach. I mean, it kind of looks like an instrument that maybe somebody could just pick up and play and get on just fine with, but I really had to play that thing for a couple of years before I was comfortable bringing it on stage and actually playing it out in public.
Well, and yeah, the slide, a lot of people don't realize that the slide is a really difficult thing to do.
It is.
On any type of instrument with a guitar, yeah.
Yeah, and
ask anybody. I'm sorry, but ask anybody that's known me for a really long time and played a lot of shows with us. It can be hit or miss. I've had some shows are better than others, and and pitch is a real challenge. I think maybe playing the slide bass wasn't quite as big of a leap for me coming from a background playing fretless bass, but it's always a challenge. I mean, some days, depending on what the show is, or if we're playing indoors or outdoors, sometimes it doesn't want to stay in tune.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes if we're playing a crappy little club that doesn't have a very good sound system, or the sound is really bad, it affects how I hear my own pitch. So it is really, really challenging in that regard.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're listening right now and you want to see the type of bass that she's talking about, she's actually playing that bass on her new music, or you guys' new music video, Flight Plan, right? Isn't that the one you're playing, the two-string, right? Okay,
Yep.
cool. Yeah, it's really awesome, and you definitely look comfortable playing that now, so definitely looks like you have had years of practice with it, for sure.
Well, it's funny because in that video, like, we were on a bit of a deadline to get it done, and it's like it's funny how in so much pop music and performances you see, like Super Bowl or whatever, or Saturday Night Live, people are lip syncing and kind of playing along to a track, and they look, a lot of those folks are really good at doing that. I'm really terrible at doing it. It would have been better if we were actually playing live on camera, but I had such a hard time trying to lip sync and play my part during that video. So I mean, if you're really listening closely, and probably musicians, if you're somebody who actually plays an instrument, you're probably watching the video cracking up, because I'm really kind of all over the place.
Yeah, the cool thing that I notice about it is, even though the bass is kind of there, I don't think you've got enough going on in the video to where your eyes are not drawn towards what's going on the bass. Too
Yeah,
much.
I'd say that too. I'd agree.
Yeah.
I'd agree with Nate with that one.
Yeah.
So, you guys are getting ready to go on the road this week, in fact, with artists that are as unique as you guys in their own special ways, in support of your January Some Girls EP release, which I will mention has production involvement from Mark Dutram, previously from the Melvins on that album, right?
That's correct.
Cool.
Better known to Melvin fans as Mark D.
Ah, okay. So since releasing your debut self-titled album, how do you feel this album differs from that album?
I think it's dramatic. I mean, it's really, and it was very challenging for us. It was really the first time, first time Mike and I have brought in a producer, and really kind of let him fully take the reins and help us with the arrangement of the songs. And he really helped us kind of get to the meat and potatoes of the songs, and really streamline things and make them really punchy. Our first EP is self-recorded, self-produced, and I think it's really apples and oranges. I don't necessarily think one is better than the other, but the first one is definitely more ambient. It still kind of has hints of my Morphine influence, because we had Brad Hauser and Justin Williams playing baritone sax on some of the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Some Girls is a lot more rock. I think it's a lot more raw. I don't know, Mike, you want to chime in?
Well, I went back and listened to the earlier EP just the other day, and I was kind of surprised at how slow the tempos are. And there are a lot more. There's the Barry sax and some Moog synthesizer on there, and it's definitely a little more downbeat. Some Girls is got a little more punch to it. It's a little more cut and dry. And that's the main difference I noticed, was the tempo on the first record is quite a bit slower.
It's nice.
I think also, like, I think when we finished the, I mean, I can't speak for Mike, but it kind of seemed like we were in agreement that after the first EP, well, our music was naturally getting a lot heavier and more rock and less like low rock or less jazz or blues. It was getting a lot heavier, and I was listening to a lot of. We're both really into a lot of the desert rock scene, and Mike comes from really a metal background, and I come from mainly a new wave and punk rock background, and so our music kind of naturally started going in that direction. So when I started collaborating with Mark Dutram and his project Bellringer, and he expressed interest in producing us, it really seemed like a logical move, because I figured, with his background and his history in the Melvins, that would really, he would really help us kind of bring out the edge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which he did quite well.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. I'm excited actually to listen to the rest of the album. I know that I've just had a chance to just listen to Flight Plan, but I want to definitely go into more of your songs, because I actually really like it. And I saw somebody comment under the video saying that you had very much of an Annie Lennox thing going on. And I was saying that earlier too. I was just like, wow, she definitely kind of reminds me of Annie Lennox, and I definitely like to see what else she can do with her vocals and you guys together. So, in checking you guys out today, I saw that you guys do a lot of your own thing when it comes to your own music. You have a lot of creative control. You do your own music videos, sometimes on a cell phone. And we've noticed more and more that bands are doing things on their own, being DIYers, I guess. Would you guys consider yourselves 100% of the time DIYers, or do you still rely on some supports from contracted agencies like PR companies, booking agencies, etc.?
Well, I mean, we now when we were approached by Scott Byram to be a supporting act on his West Coast tour, needless to say, we were pretty blown away by that, and I wanted to hire PR because, mainly because you have to. I mean, other than that, we are DIY, but the problem is that you can't rely on social media. I mean, at this point, I kind of think social media is a joke in some ways, because I'm sure there are people listening to this and other musicians that will hear this and fully agree when I say that posting on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Tumblr or whatever isn't enough. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, because of the volume of information that people are bombarded with through social media, a lot of people it's kind of white noise. A lot of people ignore it, I mean, even if it's unless it's a band that they're totally rabid about, or a band that's already signed or really big, indie bands. And when I say indie bands, I'm not talking about like indie bands on Matador. I'm talking about truly independent artists who are unsigned. If nobody knows who you are, posting events on Facebook doesn't bring people to your shows. You really need real publicity. And I would tell any band that, even as broke as we are, if you spend money on nothing but publicity, that's cool. Do what you can, but put money aside for publicity, because a good publicist can reach people that you will never be able to reach through social media or through cold calling or emailing. But so for this tour, yes, we do have help with publicity, but we've always had to do all of our own booking. We do all of our own recording and production, with the exception of working with Mark on this past EP. Mm-hmm. But, we're really stressed out and we're really stretched thin, and we'd love to spend more time working on our music and less time having to update Facebook pages and send emails.
Oh, so yeah. It's like a full-time job just right there.
It's great to have control over your creative output, but it's absolutely exhausting having to deal with all the logistics of being a musician. without anybody's help. And I think kind of to our detriment. I mean, we're kind of old, Mike is 50, I'm 44. So we don't have that built-in social circle that will, give us money through crowdsourcing, or, like all of our friends won't come out to shows like when we play locally, because most of our friends have kids, or they're just kind of over that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really challenging for us to kind of find an audience and reach a younger audience, because we're just not out in bars every night mingling with other bands unless we're, playing shows.
Right. Right. So, and it's a really common question that I ask bands when I'm talking to them and I'm asking them for advice, because it is a huge problem that a lot of musicians face, is how to get people to come out to their shows, how to get them to support their music. It's just, you put in all this money into Facebook ads, or you put this money into this, and then you have RSVPs. People say they were coming and they don't show, and and then they build up street teams and all kinds of different things, face-to-face contacts. But it's just been like trying to find this answer that works right now in this. I don't know if internet really hurts or benefits the musician at the end of the day,
Well, it's a double-edged sword, because at the end of the day, it's still all about the gatekeepers and the tastemakers. And unfortunately, I mean, this has been my observation just for like the past 20 years. Like a majority of my fans, like fans of my previous projects, a majority of my fans are in Europe and South America. And actually, like I have the smallest portion of my fan base is in the United States. And one thing I've noticed from being in Europe versus being in America is that the U.S. culturally needs to be told what's cool. Mm-hmm. Like they're like, and of course I'm generalizing. I'm not saying every person in this country is a sheep, Although
majority.
Nowadays people might say that.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. The majority.
Like a lot of people like a lot of my European friends, and it just seems like when I was in Europe, there's a different attitude about the arts and about music, and there's a natural curiosity, and there's, people will go out and seek different things without being told by others, like, this is cool, you need to check this out. But like in the U.S., I'll never forget this.
Huh.
I played a South by Southwest several years ago. It was before I lived in Austin, and it was with my previous project with Dana Colley of Morphine. It was AKA COD. Mm-hmm. And we met with this industry guy, and he pretty much summed it up in one sentence. He said, if you're not on Pitchfork, you're nothing. And that pretty much sums up what it's like to try to get any kind of support in the United States. It's like, you need to tap into this certain group of people that will say that you're cool and you're worth checking out. And you need a certain blogger to talk about you. And if you don't crack through these certain gatekeepers, then you're pretty much out of the game, no matter how great your music is, or no matter how much of a following you have in your little town.
Right. I've heard that about Europe.
Challenging that way,
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard that about Europe, not just with music, but as well, equally going for art in general.
I'm sure it's like that everywhere you go, regardless of nationality or nation.
No, because like we were just talking about America.
Worse in the United States.
Yeah. So I think I would totally agree with that. So outside of your awesome names, for your home and your car and your obvious talents, anything else listeners would be surprised to learn about you both, like what you like to do outside of music that contributes to your musicality, in essence, a hobby that you turn in order to rejuvenate your creativity?
Well, that's a great question. I'm not really sure how to answer it, but I was actually having a conversation I was playing a show with Bellringer the other night, and we were driving back from Louisiana, and I was telling Mark about my obsession with true crime. Now,
Oh man.
yeah, I've been listening to all these true crime podcasts lately. Like I've become an addict of Sword and Scale. But when I went to college for fine art, and when I was trying to accumulate credits for my degree, I took a bunch of courses in criminology, and for some reason it's always on my mind. I'm always thinking about true crime, and I think that that does color my music to some degree.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like Issa as well.
Yeah.
Issa loves true crime.
Well, yeah, I love that. Well, I'm really interested into forensic psychology and everything, and I get
Me too.
yeah, I really get involved with music that the lyrics involve things that have to do with forensic psychology and the study of the mind and or human behavior. I get really, really into all that stuff. So I'm really
Cool.
interested in getting to know your guys' music and the the lyrics that you write. And how about you, Mike? What do you do to rejuvenate your creativity when you're not doing music?
Well, I've been blowing glass for 26 years now, and I make all of Monique's slides.
We both blow glass.
That's
Oh
funny.
my gosh,
I
you
actually
didn't just
blow
say
glass
that.
as well.
Nate
Yeah.
blows glass too. It's like we're talking to Nate and Issa on the other side.
Oh wow!
Oh my god. No, seriously. He blows glass. I'm not kidding you. He
Yeah,
has
got a whole setup in the garage.
Yeah,
right
he
now.
has a whole setup, his torches out there, his what do you call the thing that you bake your
The kiln.
glass, your kiln? Oh man, that's just crazy. All right. So I get excited
We're
about
not
that.
making music.
Totally.
That's what enables us to actually make music is we're self-employed, and that's how we pay the bills, and it affords us the option or the luxury, however you may look at it, to be able to go on the road for 3 weeks and not have to ask the boss, am I going to still have a job when I come home?
You're right.
Right. Do you ever sell your glass pieces on the road or anything?
We will now. I mean, things have changed a lot
Mm-hmm.
in the past 4 or 5 years with all the legalization. We'll be doing this West Coast tour. So fortunately, we'll have a great opportunity to sell some glass along the West Coast. We haven't made a whole lot. We've been just trying to tie up loose ends. But I guarantee that's what we'll be doing in the next few days before we go is trying to make some glass. And I'll be trying to do my guitar slides are I call them glass benders.
Glass benders.
And so we'll be trying to promote that a little bit too, because I make pipes, but I would like to step away from pipe making and concentrate on my glass guitar slides, because as far as I know, nobody makes guitar slides like I do. Mine are custom made and to fit, and if they don't fit, I can resize them. I can do them in any color that you want, and it's kind of something that's exciting for me to be able to hopefully step into a new direction with my glass blowing and market a slide that's not seen out there, because you can go to any music store and buy a clear slide for $7, but my slides are one of a kind. Each one is a piece of art, and they're also functional too.
That's really cool. I'd like to see that. They're called what? I'm sorry.
He has a Facebook page, and you can see him on Instagram too. It's on Instagram. It's glassbender _GS. GS for guitar slide.
Nice.
Glassbender _GS on Instagram, and Glassbender on Facebook. Eventually, we'll build like an official site for the slides, but I can vouch for them. They're excellent. I have several of them, and they're like little jewels to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
no, they're awesome. I love glass stuff. So that's pretty cool. I'll hope to see that if I go out to one of your shows while you guys are on tour. So anything fun and exciting you guys have bookmarked to see, eat, or do while on tour?
I don't like to plan too much. I mean, I've done enough planning with just, the tour itself, and I like to kind of keep an open mind and just explore, wherever we're at. I mean, I don't like to plan too many activities when on tour because the reality is usually you don't have enough time to do much of anything, and you're just basically going from one dark black room to the next.
Well, Nate knows that.
I do very
One of
much
our
so.
stops will be my hometown of Boise, Idaho,
Oh, nice.
and we will most definitely be eating at Flying Pie Pizzeria.
Flying
I
pie
love
pizza.
that.
Well, if you
I'll
guys like
finally get
Mexican,
to meet your mom.
if you guys like Mexican food, you guys will definitely love Arizona because lots of good Mexican
Well,
food in Arizona.
I mean, there's no shortage of Mexican food and Tex-Mex in Austin, but I'm curious to see the difference.
Oh no, there is a difference.
Yeah, they're
There's a
not the
huge
same
difference.
type of food.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah. So, anything else you guys like to add or promote about Alien Knife Fight to our listeners?
Gosh, well, I think we've covered a lot. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you guys having us on.
No, for sure.
This latest batch of songs is just scratching the surface of all the material that we have waiting in the wings.
That's right.
We'll be putting out another easily 10 songs.
When we get back.
When we get back, that will be our first line of it'll be the first thing we get on is putting out a full-length 10-song record.
Good.
We've got a lot of material, a whole bunch of material, and we can't wait to get it out there.
Awesome. Yeah, we
That's
can't.
exciting. We'd love to hear it for sure.
Yeah, let us know. Keep in touch. I know Monique and I will keep in touch now through social media. So I'll definitely keep following you guys. And for anyone listening in Arizona, these two will be performing with Scott Byram and Jesse Dayton on Saturday, April 8th at the Rhythm Room in Phoenix, Arizona. So make sure you check out Alien Knife Fight. Make sure you check out their EP, Some Girls, available now. And keep on supporting the music that rocks and moves you. You guys, thank you so much. Be safe out on the road and take care, okay?
Yes, and have a fun trip.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much, guys. Talk soon.
Thanks. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, they're awesome. I mean, I
Wow,
really,
get it.
it's crazy how when he came out, he's like, "Well, I actually blow glass." I was like, "Holy shit!"
And she came out and said true crime. I was like,
know.
okay, psychology
Creepy.
much? That was awesome. No, those guys are cool. I'd
That's
like
cool.
to definitely do some follow-ups with them in the future. They have a lot to say.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about everything. So I was just like, all right, well, mix and match my interview questions now. All right.
Right. All right. Well, let's listen to this song. You want to tell them?
Yes. So, what you're about to hear right now is a song by Alien Knife Fight. You can find the video on their Facebook page, and it's called Flight Plan. It's off of their EP, Some Girls, and it's coming at you.